Stop. Stop everything. Stop scrolling. Stop whatever errand was tugging at the corner of your mind 10 seconds ago. Because what I am about to tell you about Hollywood's most photographed couple is going to permanently change the way you look at every magazine cover, every red carpet, every glossy paparazzi shot you have ever seen of them again. They hate her. They do not dislike her. They do not find her a little bit annoying. They do not just want her out of their business and out of their orbit. They hate her. And by they, I do not mean some scattered, jealous corner of the internet. I am talking about the most powerful women in Hollywood, the wives of the most powerful men in Hollywood, the gatekeepers of the most coveted invitation in the world. Nicole Avant, the wife of Netflix boss Ted Sarandos. Anna Wintour, the immovable queen of Vogue. Lauren Sanchez, the new Mrs. Bezos. The entire Kardashian dynasty. Bella Bajaria at Netflix. These are not minor players. These are women who can build a career with a single nod or end one with a single quiet phone call. And to a woman, they have turned, they have closed the door, they have stopped returning the calls, they have unfollowed, untagged, unliked, and uninvited. Now, before this story is over, I am going to walk you through exactly how it happened. I am going to give you the names, I am going to give you the moments, I am going to give you the precise insult that ended each relationship. I am going to take you inside the Daily Mail investigation that just brought the whole sorry picture into the open, and then I am going to pivot. Because parallel to this Hollywood disaster, on the other side of the Atlantic, the British royal family is doing something extraordinary. Something so calmly, so quietly, so devastatingly effective that by the time you understand what is actually happening, you will see why this is the moment the entire 7-year drama tilts on its axis. So, stay with me. Pour yourself a strong drink. Settle in, because what is happening to Meghan Markle right now is not random. It is not a streak of bad luck. It is the slow, inevitable closing of the door, and I am about to show you exactly how it is being closed, hinge by hinge. Let me begin with the document that pulled the whole picture together. The Daily Mail's editor-at-large, Alison Boshoff, has just released the most scathing investigation we have seen all year into why the women of Hollywood have turned in lockstep against Meghan Markle. And the details are absolutely shocking. We have been reporting most of these threads for months on this channel, but to see them gathered, woven, sourced, and laid out side by side in a single piece is a different experience entirely. It is the kind of reporting that does not just describe a fall, it maps it. Start with this. Even though Meghan has plenty of fashion ambitions and plenty of fashion pretensions, and as we shall see, fashion is one of the revenue streams she is hoping will help fund the entire Montecito lifestyle, the pair have once again failed to secure an invitation to the Met Gala. The Met Gala, the most photographed evening in fashion, the single event Meghan Markle has been chasing for years. Refused twice in a row. And not just the Met Gala. The Montecito duo were also unsurprisingly absent from every single event during King Charles's recent state visit to the United States. The fundraisers, the dinners, the receptions, the garden parties, the entire week of British high society, moving through American power. Empty chairs, crickets, nothing for the Sussexes, nothing. And as if to underline the persona non grata status, listen to this carefully. Even Prince Harry's boyhood friend, Guy Pelly, was at a White House garden party with his wife that same week. Yes, the same Guy Pelly who was by Harry's side when he notoriously dressed up as a Nazi at that infamous fancy dress party back in 2005, Guy Pelly is in. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex are out. Let that sit with you for a moment. The teenage tearaway who was photographed standing next to a future king in a swastika armband is now an acceptable face at the highest table in Washington. Then we have President Trump himself, who reinforced the entire Sussex unpopularity by remarking to the British journalist Robert Hardman that Harry had done too many things to come back to the fold of his family, before adding, "That wife of his, boy, what has she done to that guy?" Read that line again. The President of the United States standing inside the Oval Office, asking out loud what Meghan Markle has done to Prince Harry. When a president is publicly puzzling over the wreckage of your marriage, you have a problem that no Spotify deal can fix. Okay, pay close attention to this next part, because this is where the Daily Mail report gets specific and the picture turns from awkward to catastrophic. The source on this whole story is described as one of wall-to-wall fallouts and alienation. Put simply, in the circles that actually matter, the circles where invitations get sent and deals get signed and futures get decided, Meghan and Harry no longer have any bridges left to burn. One source says, and I am quoting directly from the report, they have truly lost the plot. I hear she is spiraling badly because she knows nothing is working. The whole thing about her as ever selling out is not true anymore. I do not think either of them are happy, end quote. And the source goes further. The source tells the Daily Mail that the couple's problems are actually worse than most people suspect, precisely because of Meghan's and Harry's unfortunate habit of falling out again and again with the very people who could have helped them make a go of things financially. So let me walk you through it, name by name, fallout by fallout, because this is where the story becomes genuinely devastating. Start with Anna Wintour, the Queen of Vogue, the most powerful woman in fashion, the woman who decides who lives and who dies on the front row of every show in New York, London, Milan, and Paris. Meghan pledged her allegiance to Edward Enninful, who was at the time the editor of British Vogue. And in doing so, she pissed off Anna Wintour. The irony, of course, the beautiful, almost cosmically perfect irony, is that Meghan is also now falling out with Edward Enninful for reasons that have never been fully made public. So she backed one horse in the Vogue Wars, the horse lost, and then she fell out with the horse anyway. You could not write a more humiliating sequence of events if you tried. The source in the Boshoff report goes on to say, and I am quoting verbatim, Anna hates her. Meghan does not want to pay and never returns things. Also, Anna loves the royal family. She is a dame. Anna would have hated how the Sussexes handled their exit from the firm, end quote. Worryingly for Meghan, the famously icy Anna Wintour apparently never forgives and never forgets. So even though Meghan's friendship with Edward Enninful is also now at an end, there is no quiet route back into Anna Wintour's good graces. The door is shut, bolted, welded, sealed. And here is the part that makes the whole thing almost surreal. Edward Enninful was actually in New York last week at a gala with King Charles. Read that again. The man Meghan backed against Anna Wintour is still moving in the highest circles. He is still photographed with the king. He is still relevant. He just is not relevant to her anymore. So she picked the wrong horse, she lost the right horse, and she ended up with nothing. Now to Lauren Sanchez, and listen very carefully here, because this is the most catastrophic miscalculation in the entire Meghan Markle portfolio. There is plenty of chatter floating around at the moment about whether celebrities like Meryl Streep really want to be at the Met Gala because of Anna Wintour's connection to Bezos through Amazon. Trust me, Meghan Markle wants to be at the Met Gala. She wants it desperately. She looks at Lauren Sanchez, the wife of Jeff Bezos, the newly minted social queen of the entire American elite. The Mediterranean wedding, the yacht, the fashion campaigns, the full Bezos billionaire shimmer, and Meghan thinks, I want a little bit of what she has got. But here is what the Daily Mail report actually tells us. Meghan snubbed Lauren Sanchez before the Bezos wedding. The exact quote is this: Meghan was invited to things by Lauren and did not want to go. She did not want to be seen with her because she thought she was trashy. 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 Coming from the woman who has built her entire post-royal career on the most desperate, transparent, magazine cover grift the modern world has ever seen, calling Lauren Sanchez trashy is the kind of cosmic, jaw-dropping snobbery that has to be heard out loud to be believed. And it cost her. It cost her the invitation. It cost her access to Bezos. It cost her access to the most photographed wedding of the decade. And here is the part that should make her sit upright in the night, alone in that big house in Montecito. Queen Rania of Jordan was at the Bezos wedding. So was her son, Crown Prince Hussein. So was Princess Rajwa. There may have been a royal or two more, Real royalty, working royalty, was inside that wedding. While Meghan Markle, the Duchess who once tried to redefine modern royal fame, sat in Montecito watching the photographs scroll past on her phone. Trashy, was it, Meghan? Trashy was the bar that kept you out of the room where actual queens were seated. Now to the Kardashians. And the Kardashian situation is slightly more nuanced. I would not necessarily reach for the word hate, but are the Kardashians over Meghan? Absolutely. Alison Boshoff agreed, writing, and I am quoting, "The Kardashians have had enough of Harry and Meghan. They are over them," end quote. If you were trying to build a lifestyle business from scratch on the back of social media, it would be enormously useful to be friends with the most followed people on the planet. But Kris Jenner has not liked a single post on Meghan's Instagram pages since last year. Not one like, not one tap. The polite Hollywood freezing has begun. And among the Kardashians, the polite Hollywood freezing is always the first move. The actual ice age comes next. And then we get to the showstopper, the piece de resistance of the entire fallout list. Nicole Avant, the wife of Ted Sarandos, the boss of Netflix, the man who personally signed the deal that was supposed to make Harry and Meghan the kings and queens of streaming content. To be fair to Sarandos, the Daily Mail report acknowledges that he genuinely did try to help Meghan and Harry save face. He invited them to an event in April for the second season of the prestige Netflix drama Beef. And yet again, it all went wrong. Pictures of Harry and Meghan from that event were removed by Getty Images 24 hours after they were published, even though Netflix itself had okayed every single one of them. The theory, according to the report, is that Meghan did not like the way she appeared in those photographs. Specifically, she did not like how she looked, clinging to Nicole Avant in the shots. Clinging, the word in the report is clinging. And so the pictures were yanked off Getty Images against the wishes of Netflix, the very company that had invited them in the first place. And here comes the line that should be carved on the front door of every Hollywood public relations firm in America. Nicole Avant hates her. So does Bella Bajaria, the head of content at Netflix. And, the report adds carefully, so does Ted himself. The Sussex team was apparently briefing against one of the Netflix executives behind the scenes. It is not clear whether that briefing was done on the Sussex's own orders or by overzealous handlers acting independently. Either way, the damage is done. Netflix knows, Sarandos knows, Avant knows. And every one of them has filed it away. The source in the report puts it cleanly. Unless someone is of use to them with money or unwavering attention, the Sussexes always fall out with them. They are worse at dealing with people than they are with business, and that, I promise you, is saying a lot. So here is the Hollywood landscape as it actually stands tonight. The wife of Netflix, done. The wife of Bezos, done. The queen of Vogue, done. The Kardashian empire, done. The doors are not closing because of bad luck. The doors are closing because of choices. Specific, deliberate, snobbish, calculated choices that Meghan Markle made one by one over the last 6 years. And the deeper truth, the truth I want you to really sit with for one moment is this. For 6 years, since the day they walked away from the British royal family, Harry and Meghan have been roughly continuously based in Hollywood. 6 years. 6 years of access. 6 years of opportunity. 6 years of every door in the entertainment world opening at least once for them. And what do they actually have to show for it? Aside from a Woe Is Me documentary and a single memoir, what is the trophy on the shelf? There is no breakthrough show. There is no breakout brand. There is no acquired, scaled business. There is, as ever, the lifestyle brand that was almost entirely built by Netflix infrastructure in the first place, that was claimed by Meghan in interview after interview as if she had built it herself, and that Netflix appears to have quietly handed back to her precisely because Netflix is done with the mess. 6 years. That is the timer. 6 years of constantly clinging, constantly grifting off other people's planes, other people's mansions, other people's social access, other people's hard-won connections, and constantly never having anything of equivalent value to offer in return. When you are a working senior royal, you can offer access in return. You can offer the implicit weight of the institution. You can offer history and continuity and proximity to the king. But the moment King Charles came to the United States last week, and Harry and Meghan were nowhere to be seen anywhere, the entire premise of their Hollywood usefulness collapsed in public. Because the unspoken theory in some Hollywood circles had always been, maybe if we get close to Harry and Meghan, we can somehow get close to the king himself. The state visit settled that question. The state visit answered it once and for all, and the answer is no. The lack of self-awareness is what truly stuns me. Meghan Markle destroyed the relationship with Lauren Sanchez, and by extension Jeff Bezos, because she looked down on Sanchez. She thought Sanchez was trashy. We can have a separate conversation about Lauren Sanchez. We can debate the optics, we can debate the wedding, but Meghan Markle is, by any honest measurement, far trashier. The moves Meghan Markle has made over the last 6 years are far trashier. The desperation Meghan Markle radiates from every frame of every Netflix special is far trashier than anything Lauren Sanchez has ever been accused of. And as a direct result of that snobbery, that breathtaking, oblivious, self-destructive snobbery, Meghan Markle has missed out on the entire Bezos universe. The wedding, the yacht, the Met Gala, the infrastructure, the friendship of a woman married to one of the richest men on the planet. And the timing. The timing makes it almost cinematic. Meghan Markle wanted to be a billionaire. She wanted, by her own account in early Hollywood meetings, to become a global lifestyle empire on the scale of Goop, on the scale of the Kardashians, on the scale of the Bezos universe itself. So what did she do? She ticked off the billionaire's wife. She ticked off the most followed family on the planet. She ticked off the most powerful editor in fashion. She ticked off the most powerful executives in streaming. That is not a strategy. That is a demolition. Right. Hold that picture in your head, because we are about to pivot. Because the Hollywood collapse is only half the story. The other half, the half playing out on the other side of the Atlantic, is even more devastating. While Meghan is being frozen out of Beverly Hills, watch what is being done to Harry in the United Kingdom. Watch what was done at the state dinner. The state visit. Let me take you inside the state visit, because King Charles arrived in the United States the same week as everything I just described. And he delivered a state dinner speech that was, depending on how you choose to read it, either a tender homage to the deep historical bonds between Britain and America, or the most surgically precise public humiliation of Prince Harry in modern royal history. I think it was the second. I think the king knew exactly what he was doing. And I think the people watching most closely knew it too. Here is what happened. The king stood at the dinner. He looked out at the gathered guests, and he began to talk about how looking at a map of the United States was, for him, like looking at a family Christmas card list through history. And then, almost lovingly, almost playfully, he started to reel off the names. There is the Carolinas, there is Georgia, there is a personal favorite, Charleston. He alluded to Annapolis. Then he talked about Prince William County. Then he talked about Williamsburg. And every single royal watcher in the room, every commentator watching the live feed, every analyst studying the speech was holding their breath, waiting for the inevitable. Waiting for the king to say Sussex County. It never came. It never came. Sussex County, a real American county with real American history, deeply tied to British settlement on the eastern seaboard, conspicuously, deafeningly, undeniably absent from the list. And it was not just Sussex. There was no mention of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. There was no mention of Henry, West Virginia. There is a town called Markle in Indiana. Yes, a town called Markle. In Indiana. Did Markle, Indiana pop up in the king's speech? No, it did not. Not a single linguistic glance in the direction of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. The names of every other quietly significant British connection were reeled out with affection, and the names connected to Harry and Meghan were quietly, deliberately, surgically left on the cutting room floor. Now, in fairness, Andrews Air Force Base also did not get a mention. and we can probably guess why a king on a delicate diplomatic visit might choose to leave the name Andrew off the speaking notes. But the omission of the Sussex names was not an oversight. It was a message. A deliberate, encoded, beautifully diplomatic message delivered in front of the President of the United States, beamed around the world and dressed up as a folksy, charming reminiscence about American geography. And this is the part that should be a dagger in Prince Harry's heart. Genuinely. I do not think Meghan particularly cares either way. She is too busy fighting Anna Wintour and Nicole Avant. But for Harry, his own father, his own family is now publicly writing him out of royal history, not in a leaked memo, not in a quiet private conversation. In a speech at a state dinner in front of the President of the United States, beamed around the world, the most permanent, most carefully curated kind of erasure there is. Robert Hardman, the British journalist who reported the snub theory, knows exactly who his source on this story really was, because after the state visit, Hardman went to the Oval Office. He spoke to President Trump directly, and the messaging flowed. So when the Daily Mail then reported that King Charles deliberately snubbed Prince Harry during the state dinner speech in front of President Trump, the chain of evidence behind the story is about as clean as royal reporting ever gets. The president himself, the public expression of disapproval, the careful omission of the names, all of it pointing in the same direction. Think about what Harry could have had at this state visit if he had handled the original Megxit even half competently. He did not have to remain inside the working royal family. Nobody was demanding that. But if he had navigated the exit cleanly, with grace, with discretion, with the basic dignity expected of a former senior royal, he could have been a soft, occasional extension of the monarchy in the United States. Look at Princess Madeleine of Sweden. She lived in the United States for years. She did things on behalf of the Swedish monarchy from time to time. She lived a mostly private life. She kept the door open. She wove her American life and her royal duty together with quiet professionalism. That door, the door Princess Madeleine walked through, is the exact door Harry burned to the ground. So Harry has been set adrift. He is on his own. And the only realistic question now is whether Charles or William, when his moment finally comes, will make that drift permanent by formally removing Harry's place in the line of succession and stripping him of his remaining royal titles. The pattern is already being laid, the signals are already being sent. And every single one of them flowed, in coded form, through that one speech in Washington. But here is where the story takes its most extraordinary turn. So do not move, do not click away, because while one side of the Atlantic is watching Meghan Markle's Hollywood empire collapse in slow motion, the other side of the Atlantic just released a series of images that may turn out to be the most strategically powerful piece of royal communication of the entire year. Princess Charlotte, 11 years old. We had some absolutely lovely images over the weekend to mark Princess Charlotte's 11th birthday, and this is becoming a really lovely new tradition that the Prince and Princess of Wales are quietly establishing. The Wales family did not just release a still photograph this time. They released video, they released motion, they released a glimpse of personality, and the personality on display was magnetic. There she was, the future Princess Royal, bowling at cricket, bowling. With the kind of natural sporting confidence you only see in children who are genuinely raised outdoors, on real grass, in real weather. The video was put gently alongside Prince Louis's cricket video from his own birthday earlier in the year. And you could see, almost in real time, a sporting family of 3 children growing up in front of the nation. And it was not just the cricket. The video also showed Charlotte's love of animals, her love of nature, her ease in the outdoors, none of it staged, none of it forced. Just a young girl growing up under the careful watch of 2 parents who are quietly, methodically, brilliantly raising the future of the British monarchy. And here is the contrast nobody can avoid. While one duchess in California is fighting tooth and nail for an invitation to a Met Gala that has already moved past her, the other royal family across the Atlantic is releasing video of an 11-year-old princess bowling at cricket in a meadow. One side is desperately chasing relevance. The other side is quietly, organically generating it. And the public is watching. The public is watching very, very carefully. Now to the next chapter. And this is the chapter where most royal commentators get the analysis catastrophically wrong, so I want you to pay very close attention to what I am about to say. There has been mounting pressure on Prince William over recent months to reveal his tax affairs. And at the weekend, on the front page of the Sunday Times here in the United Kingdom, we finally got the confirmation everybody had been waiting for. Prince William pays an income tax bill of up to £7 million. £7 million a year. That figure puts the heir to the throne in the top 0.002% of all taxpayers in the entire United Kingdom. Let me put that in human terms for you. Out of every 50,000 taxpayers in this country, William is paying more than 49,999 of them. He sits at the absolute, vertiginous, jaw-dropping summit of the British Tax Contribution League table. And he has held that position quietly, without fanfare, without a press release, year after year after year. For years, William has resisted calls to reveal his tax bill, citing the rights shared by any private citizen. The majority of his income comes from the more than £20 million a year he receives from the Duchy of Cornwall, a private estate of land worth somewhere in the region of £1.1 billion, bestowed on every heir to the throne since the 14th century. The 14th century. Think about that for 1 second. The 14th century, when Geoffrey Chaucer was still writing poetry, when the Black Death was still in living memory, when the foundations of the modern English language were still being laid down. That is how long this estate has been quietly resourcing the heir to the throne. However, William has been under increased pressure over transparency in the wake of an investigation by the Sunday Times and Channel 4 dispatches, which revealed that the Duchy of Cornwall and the Duchy of Lancaster, the duchy awarded to the monarch, make millions by charging the Army, the Navy, the National Health Service, and schools to use their land, their rivers, and their seashores. Some of those leases have since been renegotiated. Neither Charles nor William had previously declared their tax in the wake of that reporting, until now. In 2023 to 2024, the first financial year in which William personally oversaw the Duchy of Cornwall, he received a record surplus of £23.6 million. Of that, approximately £13.5 million is thought to be taxable, with William's total income tax bill landing somewhere in the region of £5 million to £7 million. And a Kensington Palace spokesperson confirmed that the Prince of Wales pays the top rate of income and capital gains tax, 45%, on all of his personal income, including his receipts from the duchy. He is paying every penny he owes. He is paying at the top legal rate. He is, in a very literal sense, one of Britain's single biggest tax contributors. So the question becomes, will it be enough? Will it ever be enough? And here's the difficult, uncomfortable, deeply important answer. No, it will never be enough. It will never be enough. The fact that William is paying £7 million in income tax and sitting in the top 0.002% of contributors is for the anti-monarchy campaigners, the starting line for the next demand. Now they will want regular tax returns. Now they will want disclosure on every penny of family expenditure. Now they will want capital gains breakdowns. Now they will want trust filings. Now they will want entry-by-entry household accounts. The list of demands does not shrink when you concede ground. The list grows, because the transparency trap is real. The moment you give the critics ground, they ask for more ground. They ask for more after that. They ask for more after that. The strategic question for William is not whether to be transparent. It is how transparent to be, and at what specific point the transparency itself starts to become a structural vulnerability for the institution. And here is the part that needs to be said plainly. The Duchy of Cornwall is being criticized in certain corners for charging organizations like the Royal Navy, the National Health Service, the Army, and certain schools to use its land, its rivers, and its seashores. The implication in some of that reporting is that this is somehow unfair, but ask yourself, what other landowner would do anything different? Land is not free. Stewardship of land is not free. Maintenance, conservation, infrastructure, insurance, None of it is free. The Duchy of Cornwall charges what any properly run estate would charge. And the entire structural point of the duchy is precisely that it allows the heir to the throne to be financially self-sufficient and to not have to rely on direct taxpayer funding in the way that some critics would otherwise insist upon. And consider this: the Duchy of Cornwall has been the property of the heir to the throne since the 14th century. If the anti-monarchy campaigners ever did succeed in dismantling the British monarchy, would the duchy revert to the state, or would it return by full legal right to the private hands of the family that has held it for 7 centuries? Because the answer to that question, soberly considered, is that critics of the institution have not thought their own demand through. The campaign for transparency, taken to its logical conclusion, hands the family enormous private wealth free of public obligation. That is not a trade most of the campaigners actually want to make. They just have not realized it yet. So William, I think, comes out of this story well. Critics will scream. The Sunday Times will return to its briefings. The relentless transparency demand will continue. But William is paying more income tax than virtually anybody else in this country, and he is doing it quietly, without fanfare, without trying to use it as a public relations weapon. That is, in the end, what the institution at its best is supposed to look like. So here's where we land tonight. 2 parallel pictures of 2 royal lives, separated by an ocean, separated by everything that actually matters. In Montecito, California, you have a duchess being frozen out of every meaningful Hollywood circle, the Met Gala invitation that never arrived, the Bezos wedding that quietly happened without her, the Vogue door that has been welded shut, the Netflix relationship cooling by the day, the Kardashians moving on. A husband being publicly written out of his own family's history at a state dinner by his own father in front of the President of the United States. And on the other side of the Atlantic, in the United Kingdom, you have a Prince of Wales paying £7 million a year in income tax. A Princess of Wales raising children that visiting American athletes describe with genuine, unprompted warmth and admiration. An 11-year-old girl bowling at cricket in a meadow on her birthday video. A young family being carefully, patiently, generationally prepared to inherit one of the oldest, most resilient institutions on the planet. One side burning bridges as fast as it can find them, the other side building them, brick by quiet brick, year by careful year. Time is the longest, slowest, most patient weapon any monarchy has ever wielded. And every passing year that Meghan Markle spends fighting for a single Met Gala invitation she will never receive, William and Catherine spend quietly, methodically, almost invisibly raising the next generation of the British royal family. One side burns, the other side builds. And 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 50 years from now, only one of those bets pays off.